手じゃないです。それで間違いを犯したらすみません。あ、そうそう、もう一つ、ほとんど漢字を読めません若干に分けますけどよく読めません。ちょっと悶々ですよ残念。でも漢字は本当に難しいです。 Okay, now for the English intro. Hello, I hope you're doing well. Sorry, that was a weird transition, but you might have noticed I've decided to speak a bit of Japanese, just a bit. Today is my channel anniversary, so I figured I'd do something kind of special, a little different, and try speaking a bit more Japanese as opposed to just the trigger words themselves. However, my Japanese is fairly elementary, so there's that. Anyway, in honor of Halloween, I thought it would be fun if I did a trigger word video with some kind of sort of spooky words. Japanese spooky words. ハロウィンだから少し怖い話題が楽しいですよね。まあ、そう思いますハロウィンは私の大好きな休日ので、今本当にワクワクします。I'm pretty excited right now because Halloween's my favorite holiday, and it's feeling more like autumn these days, which is not easy to come by where I live. We really don't get seasons like that. So, 嬉しいです。In this video, we shall be talking about yokai, ghosts, monsters, things of that nature. Yokai とかお化けとか怪物とかついて話します。この動画でちゃんとお化けの話じゃないですが、まだ適切じゃないですか。There won't be any ghost stories, but this still fits, right? I think so. そしてトリガーワード動画を始めましょう。Alright, let's get started. I'm going to, of course, write out the trigger words, but I'm also going to read some descriptions of each creature, shall we say, from this book. Not everything will be from this book, but some of them will be. This is the Book of Yokai by Michael Dylan Foster. Book of Yokai, Mysterious Creatures of Japanese Folklore is a full title. It's a mouthful, but Michael Dylan Foster is the author, with original illustrations by Shinonome Kijin. I'll be pulling some, not really full passages, but maybe a few sentences here and there out of this book. Got my notebook here, again, with my surfing bear. I like using this notebook because I think it has the best sounding paper. Very crinkly. My last trigger word video. That one was in English. No, that wasn't my last trigger word video. I did a Spanish one too. I forgot. 1番は吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼。いい音じゃないですか。吸血鬼。I think that's a good trigger word. 吸血鬼。吸血鬼 means vampire. 吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼。Maybe people know this word already. If you're an anime fan, you might know this one. 吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼。Yo, I can't write this kanji. 吸血鬼。If I'm not mistaken, that's the kanji for blood, right? 血の漢字ですよね。違うかな？わかりません。I gotta look it up. That would make sense if it was the kanji for blood, because it's a vampire. You know? I looked it up. It is blood. Wow, I actually spotted a kanji. Amazing. Although that one's pretty easy to remember, but anyway. It's just practice. It's just practice. Why'd I do it so close? 吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼、吸血鬼、 ません臆病者だから肝試し肝試し肝試し肝試し肝試し3番3番こっくりさんこっくりさんこっくりさんこっくりさんこっくりさんこっくりこっくりこっくりさんこっくりさんこっくりさんこっくり If I'm understanding this right, kokkuri is the game itself, and kokkuri-san is the spirit that you try to contact when you play kokkuri. Essentially, kokkuri is like the Japanese version of a Ouija board. I think you're supposed to write out the Japanese, not alphabet, but you know what I mean, like the writing system. I believe in hiragana on a piece of paper. There's like a little shrine gate that you draw on there. You get the idea. It's basically just the Japanese version of a Ouija board, like I said. Kokkuri, 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 kokkuri-san, 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 kokkuri, 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 kokkuri-san, 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 kokkuri, kokkuri, kokkuri. Oh, got carried away. Gasha Tokuro, 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 Gasha Tokuro. Gasha Tokuro is basically a giant skeleton comprised of masses of people who died. I've seen it said that these people died on the battlefield, or they are people who died of starvation. Not sure which. Maybe it's a regional thing. Maybe it's a translation thing. I don't know. But it's made up of a ton of people who died. And maybe didn't receive a proper burial / send-off. Again, up in the air. But it's a giant skeleton, is the point. Its name comes from the rattling sounds of bones or clattering of the teeth. Tokuro means skull. I'm so sorry, my handwriting's that bad. Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro. I think that's the best we're gonna get. Sorry. Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, 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 Tokuro. Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Tokuro, Gasha Gasha, Gasha po janai desu. Gasha Gasha, Gasha po, Gasha Tokuro, 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 Gasha Tokuro. 5番はキツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ、キツネ。Oh look, it's the same kanji. Kitsune is the same kanji. Oh, that's interesting. I just realized that right now. Kitsunebi. Kitsunebi. Literally, it translates to foxfire, but it is kind of like the phenomenon of will-o-wisps, ghost lights. That's cool. They have that. They have sightings of that sort in Japan too. Interesting. Kitsunebi. 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 Kitsune. 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 saw it though. Yubaba was terrifying to me as a child. 神隠し、神隠し、千と千尋の神隠し、千と千尋の神隠し、神隠し、神隠し、神隠し、神隠し、神隠し、神隠し、隠し、隠し、隠し、神隠し、神隠し。This is under the Tengu section in this book. Most famously and frighteningly, Tengu were often the perpetrators of something called kamigakushi, kidnapping by a god, translatable as spiriting away, or more literally, hiding by a deity. The details of such occurrences vary, but usually the story goes like this. A young boy or adolescent suddenly disappears. His family and the villagers search frantically, but to no avail. Then sometime later, he shows up in a strange place, in a tree, or in the eaves of a house, dazed but otherwise unharmed. Tengu, Tai Tengu, and Go Tengu. Sometimes he's able to recount a story of being abducted by a stranger, usually an older man who took him off to distant places. Kamigakushi, kamigakushi. 8番、大獣、大獣、大獣、大獣、long U、大獣、大獣、大獣、大獣、RAIJUU、大獣、大獣、大獣、大獣。 most recent renditions of Toire no Hanako-san, which is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. You know that manga? もちろん千葉少年漫画なので、このトリガーワードを選びました。トイレの花子さん、千葉少年花子くん、花子くん、花子くん、花子くん。They just rebooted the anime. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet, but I will because it's my favorite manga. So 千葉少年、千葉少年花子くん、千葉少年花子くん。千葉少年花子くん、トイレの花子さん、トイレ花子さん、トイレの花子さん。Hanako of the toilet. She's the protagonist of a popular contemporary legend that has circulated widely throughout Japan since at least the 1980s, though there are also older variants. Details differ from school to school, but typically it is said that if you go to the girls' bathroom on the third floor and knock 3 times on the door of the third toilet stall, a girl's voice will answer. In some versions, the door swings open, but nobody's there. Sometimes it is explained. Hanako will answer if you call her name or say, Hanako-san, let's play. Asobimashou. And in some versions, Hanako does appear. A little girl with a bob haircut dressed in a white blouse and red skirt. Common to many versions of the legend is the emphasis on the number 3. And one alternate name for the girl yokai is Hanako-san of the third toilet. Sanbanme no Hanako-san. An old variant of the legend from 1948, collected in Iwate Prefecture, for example, explains that among the students of a particular elementary school, there was a taboo about using the third toilet in the bathroom behind the gymnasium. If you went in there and called Hanako-san of the third, a large white hand would suddenly reach out of the toilet. Oh, that's traumatizing, yes. Yes, traumatizing. 13番は口裂け女、口裂け女、口裂け女、口裂け、口裂け、口裂け女、口裂け女、口裂け女、口裂け女。Kuchi means mouth. I don't know what sake means. I'm assuming slit, like a slit mouth. And onna means woman. Kuchisake onna. Onna. It's double N. Onna. Kuchisake onna. Kuchisake onna. Kuchisake. Kuchi. Sake. Sake o nomimasu ka? 私は酒を飲みません。But we're not talking about alcohol right now. 口裂け女、口裂け女、口裂け女、口裂け女、口裂け女。口裂け女、口裂け女、slit mouthed woman. 口裂け女. Literally, slit mouthed woman is the name of a modern female yokai. She's the protagonist. I don't know, do we want to call her protagonist? I suppose. I'm more inclined to say antagonist of everybody else's story, I guess. She's the protagonist of the contemporary legend that first appeared at the end of 1978 and spread throughout Japan within a few months. As with all such legends, there are many variations, but the basic narrative describes her as an attractive young woman, perhaps in her 20s or early 30s, who wears a white mask over her mouth. A common practice in Japan for somebody with a cold. In the case of the Kuchisake onna, however, the mask covers up a mouth hideously slit from ear to ear. It's a Glasgow smile. She stands on an urban or suburban street, often at dusk, and approaches children on their way home from school. She asks, "Am I pretty?" Sometimes it doesn't matter which answer you give, yes or no. She's still gonna get you. 本当の最後は Here's